podcast.
Thanks for having me, Kathleen.
Oh, thank you for being here. I'm super excited to get chatting with you today. Why don't we start off with a little introduction about you? Could you tell us a bit about who you are and what you do?
For sure. Uh, my name is Mckenna Haz, and I'm from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. I'm an advertising and integrated communications major at Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut. I'm also the founder of SEAAV Athletics, which is a sustainable athletic line that additionally removes plastic from our oceans with every purchase.
Amazing. Thank you for that introduction. That's a lot of stuff to keep track of there. So let's start first off with your education. So what made a Canadian girl from Vancouver Island go all the way to Connecticut?
Great question. Yeah, it's a bit of a ways away. I have to actually explain to a lot of my American friends where Vancouver Island even is on a map. I got a scholarship to play NCAA Division I rugby, so I play rugby down there. That's kind of what introduced me to looking at schools in America in general, and that's why I'm all the way out east.
Okay, awesome. So rugby, that's a tough sport.
Yeah, I hit people for fun. A lot of people think I'm a little bit crazy for playing rugby, but it's gotten me to where I am, and I'm so grateful for the sport. I've gotten to travel all around the world. I spent a year actually in New Zealand playing after high school. Went to Colombia twice, Barbados, all across America, obviously with my team too. So I'm pretty grateful for rugby.
Wow, that's incredible. What a good experience with sport.
Yeah.
And so all that traveling you did, was that with your university team?
So most of it was actually in high school. I traveled to Colombia, and then out of high school, I went and played rugby in New Zealand for a year to develop my skills before I went to university to play. And then that gap year as well is when I traveled to go compete at World Rugby in Barbados. And then I went to Las Vegas a bunch to play international sevens with Team BC. But and we went to Seattle. But other than that, like the rest of my American travels have been with my university team.
Okay, good for you, girl. Wow. And how long have you been playing that sport?
I started in grade 9.
Okay, wow. So a long time. Have you ever gotten hurt?
I have broke my nose 3 times.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's funny actually. We know each other through a pageant. I actually while I was doing my pageant, I'd broken my nose one way. And then thankfully I broke it back the other direction. So now it's like sort of like it's pretty straight. Like people can't really tell it's broken for the most part. So
What?
yeah, I've broken a couple fingers too, but like nothing too serious. I've been pretty fortunate to not get terribly injured. I've had one concussion too, which isn't huge, considering like most of my teammates have had at least like 3 or 4. So
Right, concussions are tough, so I guess it's good that you avoided that. But the nose breaks, I cannot believe that you broke it.
I know. I'm like, well, you can sort of feel it, but anyways.
Well, you look great. I couldn't tell that you have a broken nose. So, and wow, that sounds like really busy. I can't believe how much different, sports are in the States compared to Canada. Like I compete on my university track team in Toronto, and my schedule is not like that. And I definitely have not traveled all over for that.
Yeah, it's pretty intense in the States, like our training schedule. When we were on campus, we were kind of discussing beforehand, I'm doing virtual school right now. I think so are you. But we'd have lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, 6 a.m. And then every single day, except for Tuesdays, we train from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Plus our game days are on Saturdays. And then we were kind of saying, like, I am traveling, so it's pretty much like every other weekend when you're in season, you're going somewhere, whether that's like New York, Boston, wherever.
Right, right. And then on top of that, you of course have school. So you're in your MBA. What do you want to do with your degree?
So that's a great question. Right now, I'm kind of doing what I want to be doing. So I hope to just grow upon that. I've realized while I've been at school, my mind is very entrepreneurial. I have a hard time sitting still. I like creating a lot. So I think just expanding upon SEAAV Athletics, and then possibly, I don't see myself stopping there. I see myself growing multiple brands. What that is right now, I don't know. We'll see what kind of doors open. But yeah, I kind of see myself doing that. I don't really see myself working for anybody else right now. I mean, if I was to utilize my, well, I'm working towards my MBA right now. It's kind of up in the air if I want to continue to do it, just with everything being virtual right now. But if I do continue to do that, I could maybe see myself working for like a bigger marketing company of some sort. But as of right now, I'm pretty happy with the path that I'm going on, and I'm just kind of creating it myself right now. And it's allowing for me to go traveling and have the freedom to do what I want to do and help clean up the oceans and create some cool, sustainable clothing.
Exactly. And I mean, that's awesome. You already have your foot in the business door at such a young age. And yeah, let's talk more about your brand and your business that you started. So tell us, what is your brand?
So, like, I don't think I said anything yet about what it is. So SEAAV Athletics, so basically it's a sustainable activewear line. We actually spin recycled plastic water bottles into each one of our pieces. So basically, like, everything from like our sports bras to our leggings have these recycled plastic water bottles. We basically take it, crush it down into flake, chip, and then fiber, and then that soft recycled fiber is what's spun into all of SEAAV Athletics. So right now we have leggings, we have sports bras, and we have flow tank tops in our coastal collection that launched in 2020. It's 2021 now. But we're super excited to launch our Renora collection. We're actually heading to Florida at the end of the month to shoot the line. We're going to have biker shorts, joggers, more sports bras, more leggings, capri length leggings. We're actually going to start integrating men's line as well. So we're going to have men's joggers and men's shirts as well. So lots of exciting things ahead. But yeah, that's SEAAV Athletics. We also remove 1 pound of waste from the ocean with every purchase as well. And all of our ocean cleanups happen in Indonesia, where our factory is.
Wow, exciting is an understatement.
Yeah, I'm like, woo, I get so jazzed up about it. So
yeah, no kidding. That's so much on the go for you, and traveling to do the shoots. That's amazing. So what do you go to Florida for? You're going specifically to shoot the clothing?
Specifically, I lined up a photographer. I mean, first off, the beaches there are beautiful and it's sunshiny and hot. I'm currently in New Jersey, so the flight's like $46 Canadian or something. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, we're booking a flight and we're going there because his sister lives there. So we've lined up just a group of friends to be the models for the line. And then I hired a photographer down there, and we have hair and makeup lined up down there as well through mutual connections. So it kind of just all came together really nicely. Booked a studio for a couple hours, and then we're going to head to the beach and get some more footage.
Awesome. That's how you know that what you're doing is right, when things just fall into place. Like, there's a reason for that.
Totally meant to be. Just everything aligns. I could not agree more. Meant to be.
It's funny how things work like that. And so
Yeah.
how do you get started with your business?
So basically, I think like since high school, I always wanted to do something entrepreneurial. So I actually chose as a minor, which I didn't think I was going to be pursuing. I thought like I'm definitely going to go like more the marketing advertising route because that's what I love to do. But as a minor, I chose entrepreneurship. So my freshman year, my spring semester, I took an intro to entrepreneurship class. And as the final project, I had to pitch an idea. Basically, you had to find a problem and create a solution for it. And I ended up pitching it to my class and winning out of my class to go to the state pitching competition. And then I ended up coming in second at the state pitch competition my freshman year. And I was just like, okay. And this was all for SEAAV Athletics. It was kind of just like a side hustle, creating like my logo design. I actually created my logo in a visual arts class my freshman year too. And then the website was just kind of like a side thing, and all my advertising, like I just did it for fun because I like creating. As an athlete, we can't really like go out and party too much anyways with our schedule. So it keeps my brain busy. So anyways, I pitched my idea. Everybody liked it. And I'm just like, okay, this is cool. Let's do this. So that year I started reaching out to designers. I'm in Connecticut. That's the nice thing about being in Connecticut. I'm right in between New York and Boston. So like two major fashion like district areas. So I'm like, maybe somebody would help a student. So I knocked on a lot of doors, and I ended up getting a design team working pro bono for me through, actually it ended up being my boyfriend's mom's friend that was able to connect me to GoTech Studios. And then everything kind of like what we were talking about, it was all very serendipitous and fell into place really, really nicely. So there was kind of no looking back after I pitched the idea in my freshman class.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's what a stepping stone to take in your freshman year too.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of cool to like look back on and reflect.
It is cool, and it's smart that you got started in university too. Like we were talking about earlier, that way you can just hit the ground running once you do graduate.
Yeah, I didn't really see myself doing it in university just because of like all my other commitments, but I'm definitely happy that I did. I kind of was like, oh my God, because we launched a week before the pandemic. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? What? But everything's meant to be. We had to completely regroup with our marketing strategies, which is fine, because we couldn't really do any in-person sales whatsoever. So fully e-commerce, online, direct, micro-targeted advertisements, and growing our ambassador team has allowed us to be successful.
Right. Which, I mean, that's kind of the way things are going right now. E-commerce is so successful. Doing things online is exactly where we're at with the given pandemic, like you mentioned.
Yeah. No, I think it's been a blessing in disguise, definitely. And I don't know if I would have started my ambassador program so soon into the launch, but it's definitely worked to our advantage, because that's kind of how our brand's gotten out, is by word of mouth.
Right, for sure. And can you explain that a little bit more? Like, what exactly is a brand ambassador program?
Yeah, so for SEAAV Athletics, basically I can kind of go into, I geek out of advertisements, obviously.
I love that.
Major, like, so I'm super into the analytics and all that. So we micro target towards millennials, Gen Z on Instagram specifically, that are into like, they're ocean lovers, they're environmentalists. We like, specifically, we have a lot of scuba divers that sign up, which is fun, like awesome, because they're ocean lovers. We have a lot of yoga instructors, just people that are really into fitness, we micro target towards. And then I kind of just choose random areas too. Like, for example, I'll do like ads towards California and Florida, or ads towards New York, Connecticut, Boston, and see who we gather, kind of thing. But basically, people that are interested, they get 50% off their first purchase. And then they additionally will get a 15% discount code that they promote on their social media. So their friends, followers, family, whoever, they can use the 15% discount code, and then they actually make 15% commission on top of that. So we're just trying to build a community of people that are eco-conscious, environmental, ocean-loving, minded, active, adventurous people all into like one group. It's pretty cool because everybody's kind of from around the world just through how we've targeted. And that's kind of how we've grown from there. We have a Facebook page that everybody's on now, and there's about, I think we have just over 130. And our goal is to get to 1,000 in 2021. So if you want to become an ambassador.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to be an ambassador, hit her up. That's such a smart way of going about your marketing, your marketing strategy right now. Brand ambassadors and influencers are where marketing is going right now, but the way it seems.
Totally. Yeah. So it's been fun, honestly, just creating the community also just during quarantine.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I found, like starting my own business and platform throughout the pandemic. It's just given me something to put like my creative energy into.
Totally. Yeah, I've seen some of your stuff. It's awesome. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot. Now I want to pick your brain a little bit about your social media now that we're talking about brand ambassadors. So your social media is gorgeous and you have over 12,000 followers on your business platform. So can you tell us a bit about your social media strategy?
Just kind of like I repost content that I like from our ambassadors. We've worked with a couple like micro influencers. But other than that, no, it's just mostly all like authentic, real, kind of cool vibe posts, I would say. I'm like, I want to go into my media now, but I just do it all. I need to post tonight. I think it's about time. But there isn't like a real like strategy where I plan posts in advance or anything like that. I think as I grow, that I definitely will look into that, and we'll probably actually just put somebody in charge of social media because it is a lot more time consuming than you think.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my posts are just kind of fun. I love to do like SEAAV spotting. So like we've had SEAAV spottings in like Australia. We've had SEAAV spottings in New Zealand, all over Canada, all over the US, the UK. So to me, that's kind of fun to show. I try to be involved or get my friends that help me with the line involved in social media posts to kind of put a face to the line as well, show that it's real and we're not just, I don't know, like a big corporation, we're a small business. And those posts tend to do better, to be honest, just showing that like real, authentic behind the scenes of us packaging or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I think that having like a real genuine person behind the Instagram account is definitely what people want to see right now. I mean, we need like more authenticity and more transparency online. I think your account definitely showcases that. And I think it's really cool that you share pictures that people have like posted and tagged you in. So I assume like the pictures of the people wearing your clothes, are those your brand ambassadors?
For the most part, a lot of them, we've had a few, like I've had a decent amount of posts where they're not brand ambassadors. They just post in our clothing. We try and like get everybody to tag us with the hashtag make waves not waste. And I mean, if I like the content, I'm going to repost it. I try to repost as much as possible.
Exactly. That's awesome. And people love to see their stuff like being recognized too.
Totally.
And so like you mentioned, your products are all eco-friendly and sustainable. They're spun from plastic water bottles. How does that even happen? Like, how do you make something out of a water bottle?
So like in like the most simplest terms, basically we take the water. So everything's made with over 80% recycled materials. We do add a little bit of spandex into the clothing to make it functionable. But basically you take the water bottle, we crush it down into flake, the chip, and then the fiber, and then that fiber is what's spun into the clothing.
Okay.
So that's like the simplest way to explain it. I was supposed to go to the factory this summer. Obviously, I couldn't do that because of COVID. So I'm yet to actually see the process, but from all of the research that I've done, that's the best way I can explain it.
That's so cool. And I mean, people are loving to shop, first of all, shop small business and shop sustainable right now. So I think you're right on brand there, like right on trend too.
Yeah, thanks. We also do biodegradable packaging as well, which was like a big thing for us to be try and be as sustainable throughout as much as possible.
Right. That's so cool too. Like when people are wearing your clothing, they can say, oh, this is made from plastic water bottles. Like,
Totally. Like I'm wearing 28 recycled plastic water bottles. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. You can't say that about much of the things in your wardrobe usually.
Yeah.
And so, McKenna, with everything you do between school, rugby, running your own business, how do you stay on top of everything?
I have been running around with oh my gosh. How do I answer this? Balancing school and sports for a very long time, like for as long as I can remember. Like since middle school, I've been doing competitive athletics. So I'm sure you can relate to that with track and field too. So I've been doing that my whole life. So like going into university and doing sports and school, like it wasn't like a huge, like it just transferred over nicely for me. Adding on the business thing, like it was fine at first because it was just kind of like a little side thing. Like I said, I was working on my website on the side, my logo on the side. Like, I mean, we also talked about it. We don't I don't really have much of a, like, I'm a super social person, but like I don't have much of a social life because I can't with playing competitive sports. Like I can't party and drink. So I'm like, I'll stay in the library until past midnight working on my business. So that's kind of where that time has presented to like do my side SEAAV Athletics. Now that COVID has happened, I genuinely don't think, I think I would have had a mental breakdown doing all three with how busy I've been with SEAAV. I didn't realize how busy I would be. So as bad as COVID is, I'm grateful for the fact that I've been able to put more energy into it while I've been at home, because I haven't had those crazy time commitments that I was saying that I had earlier with rugby. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to open up both my Boston. I opened up two of my first pop-ups in Boston during November and December, and there's no way I could have done that if I was in school. So like it's honestly like it's very difficult to balance everything. It's borderline not possible. And it's only been made possible because of COVID, to be honest. Otherwise, I would be freaking a crazy person. Super crazy person. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
another thing too, like, I guess, like, I create, like, organizationally, like, I can't sit still. So, like, right off the bat, I'm already somebody that's like super hyperactive, and like I'm an extremely like intense minded person. So like I need to be doing something all the time, or else I get anxious. So I think like that's kind of why I've been able to do all three in the past. Also just like, I mean, you can have my agenda here. I create lists 24/7, and I'm just like knocking things off my list. So that's another thing like that keeps me on track. Constantly creating goals too. I went out for dinner with my boyfriend last night. I'm like, so what are your 2021 goals? I'm like going through all of mine. He's like, he's like, I don't know what you said. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I don't know. I guess that's it. I feel like I don't know how I could answer that any more than that.
I totally get what you're saying, and I love the honesty too. I agree. I started all of this during the pandemic too. So I started this in April, and it was like a month of like pure boredom, right? So that's kind of what got the juices flowing. That's just like, I need to do something. And right now I'm doing classes, I'm doing this, and I'm working part-time, but I'm not doing track and field right now. So like I'm working out and stuff, but I'm not going to track meets and having track practice with the team, right? So I don't know, like I don't know how it's going to work out whenever things do go back to normal. I don't know how I'm going to balance that. I'm the same as you, like I don't know. And because of COVID, I do have all this extra time, which has allowed me to put towards my business and towards building this platform. But like you also said, lists and goal setting, I've become obsessed with them this year. Like every month I'm setting goals. Every week I'm making to-do lists. Same as you, agenda, I'm checking it off, which is something I never did before starting my own business, really.
It's huge. It makes you feel like even the littlest of tasks too, it just makes you feel like you've accomplished something in your day. You know what I mean? Especially if you're sitting down I mean, you and I both, we've been doing online courses. It's like, it almost feels like you're not doing much because you're not on the go.
Mhm.
But when you're like, because you're sitting on a couch all day, like going back and forth, you got to like add those extra things, like go on a run. Okay, check that off. That feels so good. I actually did something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you do it in pen and you get to give it the big check or the cross off, just feels so
Oh,
good.
oh, so good.
And so, McKenna, do you have any advice for other young people who maybe want to start their own business or do what you do?
I would just say, like, if you're truly passionate about something, you should just go after it. Don't let fear or any sort of judgment set you back. I mean, there's always going to be that doubter, so you can't let that stop you. Um, Also, use your connections. That's what's allowed me to open up so many doors. Don't be afraid to call people. Just pick up the phone. I know it's like foreign for our like age group now to kind of do that, but for the most part, people are willing to help. And like, worst case scenario, like I've always, like my mom's always told me this too, like worst case scenario is they say no. Like that's the worst thing that could happen, right? So just keep knocking on doors, see what happens if you truly want something.
Exactly. I love everything you're saying there. I totally agree. There's always gonna be people who have something to say, but I kind of came to a realization lately, like that's not your audience. Those aren't the people that you're trying to target. So what they have to say doesn't really matter. And yeah, absolutely use your connections. Being in the business industry, what do they always say at Ryerson? They say your network is your net worth. And I'm like, that's so true.
It is so true.
And it's kind of accurate in your situation because you've been telling us all of these situations where your networking and your connections kind of helped you with your path, right?
Completely. Like, I mean, first off, I wouldn't be where I was if I didn't go to school because of my coach, and then I wouldn't have been able to like meet certain business professionals to put me down certain paths if I wasn't in a specific class with a specific professor. It's just, the world is crazy how just the dots connect with one another.
Exactly. And I love that. And I think, McKenna, that's an excellent way to wrap up the episode. Thank you so much for joining me today and telling us all about your brand and your university experience.
Thanks for having me. Keep shining bright.
You too. Oh my gosh. And why don't you plug yourself? Tell everyone where they can find you and your brand.
For sure. Personally, you could find me on Instagram at Mckenna Haz, and SEAAV Athletics is at SEAAV Vision.
Perfect. So everyone make sure to check out her brand and maybe shop sustainable, shop local.
All right. Thanks, Kathleen.
Thanks so much. It was so nice talking with you.
Bye.